In this video, we're going to explore about legends in ChartJS. How to create a legend in ChartJS. Basically, we have a legend here, but what we want to do is we want to customize it a bit more. And you can see right now I have a very basic standard layout. This is basically the introduction design here. I'm not going to spend too much time on how to make it. I assume you already have the basic knowledge on that one. And if you don't worry about that. Check out my other videos about ChartJS, or check out, by the way, if you're interested, check out my ChartJS Udemy course, where I go deep in ChartJS, and you can find the course link in the description box. Alright, so first of all I want to do is I want to remove this here. In the moment I remove this, my chart will look far more suitable. Alright, so we have this, and this is a very basic bootstrap card design, and then here we have a card that is blank. We have here a card where the canvas is in. And what we want to do is first of all remove this legend here. This has no function, and we want to put in here below the legend. And basically what I want to do here is make a card or columns. And in those columns, we're going to put in the colors. And that will look very nice. So we have matching colors. And the way we're going to do it, we're going to do it through a HTML version here. So I'm going to show you some of the basic tricks how you can decode or decrypt, basically encrypted the ChartJS code, which is here. This is basically coded text, and what we want to do is decode this back, or how to translate whatever we see here or see in this picture, translate it back into normal text below here. Alright, let's start and look with that, because this will be a bit fun, because it's a slightly more advanced item. You should absolutely know this, in my opinion, because this is one of your basics. Once you understand this core foundation of reading ChartJS code, you can do a lot of things with ChartJS. A quick side note here, we're using ChartJS version 2.9.4 or .x, because I'm sure it goes up consistently. This is the version we're using here, and maybe you're using a new version which might slightly change, but most likely the things you learn here will be very consistent over every version, because this is really JavaScript basics. Alright, let's start and work here. So what we're going to do here is we have this card here, and in this card here we're going to put in some divs with columns. So we're going to do in here div class, and then we say here this is a row, and in this row div class equals, we say here a column, and we make, how many columns will we make? Well, in our case, we can just delete this, put it all in one line, that's no problem. In our case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. So we're going to put in 6 columns here. There we are. So once we have 6 columns here, and this is in Bootstrap, we should have everything here below. Does it show here? Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you are. So we have these columns here. So now we can start give it something nice. So let's say here border. Right here, border. There you are. We have a border here. That looks nice. Can we make it slightly more suitable? We can make here a card out of it. If we do a card, what happens? We get a mini card. Basically, in here, we could do another design. Doesn't matter. Well, I will just make it like this. This is fine for now. My goal here is not to be too much focus on design. It is just focused on the structure. But we can make it nice later on. To do that, you could basically put in a body card between here. Alright, so we have these. We have all of this here. That looks fine. We have 6 cards in here. So what we want to do now is how do we extract the colors out of this part here. And this will be fun, because basically the colors, we can assign them here by using some JavaScript codes here. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is an ID. And this ID will be, let's see, what's the number here? This is red, blue things. So I will say value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Value 1, etc., etc. And the reason I'm doing this is we have to assign them. The moment we assign them, we can start to work with it. So we're going to assign them, and then we connect them to JavaScript, because right now this is still only HTML. In JavaScript, if you would say I want to change value 1 into a color, how do we do this? JavaScript will not know which one. By pinpointing the ID, it starts to understand. So in here, we're going to work from all down here below. Oh, not even from here, but just below here. We're going to create here a new constant. And this constant will be value 1. Exactly the same. And then we say here, this constant equals document.get element by ID. And in here, we have value 1. And this value 1 will be the only thing we need. So we're going to copy this and we're going to duplicate this multiple times, 6 times in total. Alright, so we've got all of this. And then we have all our IDs assigned. Now what we want to do is we want to create a function. And our function here should be the value here. Oh, well, basically we don't even have to do a function here. It's not even necessary. We can create one if desired. However, not really necessary. What we're going to do now is we're going to assign this. We can assign the following here. So we say here value 1 dot style dot background color. Alright, so what we're going to do is, let's look here. What we really want to do is we want to get this background color and make the border the background color. That's basically what we're going to do. So we already have here some items and we're pinpointing the style here, because what we want to do is we want to adjust the style, because right now it's some grayish border, which is fine, but not what we want, because we want to match this here. And we want to get the red color here, and specifically this red here. So how do we do this? Well, we see this here background color here. So what we can do is the following here. We just say here style, then we say background color with capital C here, because this is JavaScript, remember, equal, and then we're going to equal this background color or border color. Sorry, we need the border color. So we say here border color. Border color equal this. There you are. So let's save this and see what happens. As you can see here right now, nothing happens. So let's double check here. What are we missing? So we get this ID value equal this. Of course, the reason why it's not working, of course, is this is a string value. Remember, it's a color, but colors are strings by default because there's text in here. Save this, refresh, and there you are. So now you can see we get our nice border color here from the legend here. So now we're creating almost an HTML version of the legend. And then we can remove this one here because this total number of votes is basically not needed. So what we can do here is, I'm going to put in options, we type in legend. Then in legend, we're going to say here, display. What are we displaying? The legend. And by default, it is set on true. So now we'll do false. If I save this, you'll see I'll get an error. Yes, let's refresh here, we get an error. My question for you is, see if you really figured out what I did here, or what was really the mistake here. You will say, is it something here? Well, I'll say no. If you're thinking this is a mistake, this is not the case. And the reason why is we can just comment this out. You will see here, still same. So if you get an error here, we can check here, unexpected identifier, we can check here what is the error here. So it's somewhere in the scale. So what do you think it is? Well, this is just a extra reminder for you to always put in a comma here. The reason why we put in a comma here, because this indicates that there's still something more following, more to follow. Once it ends, as like here, the last one stops. So the reason, if you would delete this, you'll get the same error as we had just, because it doesn't read. There's more to follow, but it cannot read it because you didn't put in the command here, so that JavaScript cannot understand what this is. Alright, so that was basically a small test for you as a reminder. Alright, so now we have this. Let's do it for the others as well. If we could do all the same, but you might say, well, wait a minute, this is quite a lot of work. I don't want to do this. Or I don't want to put in this here, because what happens if I change, for example, the border color here? Let's say the border color becomes blue. Then I need to hard code the color here as well. You are absolutely correct. We're going to adjust this as well. How we can do this is by assigning different colors here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to give a new color here. So we say here, this border color here, we're going to copy this. And then we say here, we're going to make a constant, and I like to give this constant as well. This is a more common practice these days because constant is more often used than variable, although variable can be used sometimes, not all the time. There we are. Constant, and we say red equals this value here, which is correct, and then semicolon. All right, so we can do the same here with, I think this is blue, am I correct? Blue, and then we get the same value here. We put in here, there you are. So now what happened if I change this into a variable? Remember, this is now a variable. What is important in a variable? Definition of a variable that is not a string, even though it contains word. No, if it contains a word but it's a variable, the variable has no quotation marks. Yes, very important. So we have here blue. All right, let's save this and see. Once we did this and adjust this here to red, and we make another one, say value number 2 equals blue. Save this, refresh, and now as you can see, we adjusted this nicely here. You can see now this is matching it. So once we match this, you can do the same thing here. For example, what happened if we're not in blue, but let's say here we are, I put it on 0. What happened there? Now you can see it becomes here green border, and this green border matches here. All right. So now you get that. So this is very important here, and this is just an extra reminder here. So what you can do now is we can continue with yellow, green, purple, and orange. So we can say here blue, and this is yellow. And I'll just put in multiple here so we have this all done. Finally here, this was yellow, green, purple. Finally orange. I'm not sure if that was the exact structure, probably not, because probably this should be here up. I think it's a rainbow design, am I correct? Oh, apparently this is correct. If it's a rainbow design, the rainbow purple would be probably at the very end. Alright, but that's not the case, so there we are. So we are very consistent. So we're going to copy now all of these codes here. Let's remove this here, copy these codes here. That's orange. This is the purple. Then we have the green, and finally we will have the yellow. Alright, so we have this now, and then we can just match them up here. Yellow, green, purple, and orange. Alright, so once we have these, we can now also match this here as well. So we have number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. They say here yellow, green, purple, orange. Alright, save this. Refresh, and now as you can see, we are now starting to get a matching legend here. Alright, so this looks nice. So maybe we say, well, I would like to have a nice design. Why don't we just do that one? That's just for fun. I guess it's a nice exercise. So we have these here. Probably what we can do in here, we give it another div. So we say here div class card body. Alright, and then we put in here a closing div. And then maybe we have to see if this column should be in a separate div as well. So div class call, and then we have everything all together here. This should probably make more sense. And there we are. So if we save this now, let's see how that looks. That looks slightly better, as you can see here. Beautiful, and it has some space in between. I like the design. Let's continue and just do this for now. And we need this 6 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to remove all of this. Value number 6, value number 5. Here as well, we delete this, and we can delete this part as well. 4, 3, number 2. Alright, let's save this, and now we got this everything nice. We get always the number 1 value here. What we can do here is, for example, get the color here. You can get this color, or maybe you will say, well, I would like to have the value or the number of votes. As you can see here, there's number of votes. We can do that as well. So let's start and explore how we can do this. So for example, here, what we want to do in here is adjust the number of votes. So what we can do here is probably we can give it another ID. Specifically, that will be the easiest one to say. I'll say 4. We could do it easier with there's some other ways to do it where we can link them within, but I'll just make sure this is the easiest one because it's easy to use the IDs for now. Of course, should you do this? Not always, depending on your design. However, right now, having IDs gives you more control. Value 1, 1. There we are. And this is just basically a demo purpose here, of course, because it's just to show you what you can do with chart.js. Alright, so we've got all of this now. Well, let's see, we have everything here. Alright, so what we can do now is, for example, we can get the inner text. So what we want to get here, we get this. There's a 6.6, and here document. Right, that's not what it is. And then we say here, value 6.6. Then we can say here, inner HTML equals, well, let's see if this works. If not, it's inner text. That. Alright, as you can see here right now, this is correct. So we have the inner HTML, and would inner text work as well? Let's save that and refresh. You can see it works same. Alright, so no real difference, doesn't matter. So now what we want to do is we want to get, what exactly do we want to get? Well, we want to show the value, specifically the data point here, or this here. Basically, this is an array, and in this array, and this is basically the object. So remember, in JavaScript, these curly brackets are objects. So basically, we have an object, and this object we have an array, and this array will get here the data point. So that's what we're going to get here. So what we're going to do here is the following. We're going to copy here now the specific item. So we say here, what is the value? Well, let me show you. We go here from constant, which is my chart. From my chart, we're going to data, and from data, we're going to the data set and then data here. Alright, so we say here the following. My chart dot. Then we go to data dot data sets. Alright, remember this data set is the first data set of this array, or basically this object. This object has an array, and this array contains a data set here. As you can see, this is a data set. This is the first one. Remember, an array starts with 0. So the first element is number 0, is index number 0. I hope you understand that. Very important. If you don't, check out my array video talking about how to define arrays, and it's very confusing basically in terms, but to make it very clear, data sets or an array starts counting with number 0. So index is 0, but we call it the element. So that's the first element. So basically this is 0, but this is the first element. And this here data set is also an array. So this is the first array. This is the first element in the array, which is number 0. All right. Remember, data of arrays starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want number 5 because that's the 6th element, which is number 5 in the array. All right. So we say here again, data. So we have the data set is 0, which is the first element, and then in the data here, so from data we go to data set 0 to data, and here data number 5, 6th element, so number 5. Number 5. Let's save this. Refresh, and now you can see we get the value out of orange. And what we can do here is, for example, we want to attach them. Maybe you want as well not only the number, but you also want to have the text here. So how to do that? Put in a plus symbol, not for adding it, but as an attachment here. And we can maybe put in a space. If we need some space here, we do it like this. This is concatenation. I talk about another video about concatenating if you want to understand this. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to add up the name orange, which is this one here. So that's from my chart. Data labels. Labels number, the 6th element, that's number 5. So from data, we go immediately to labels. and labels will be number 5. Remove everything else. Let's save this and see what happens. Now you can see orange, number 3. Maybe you say, well, I would like to have a column there. There you are. That's basically how we do it. We can now add up more. You can make the background color matching whatever you want, or you can make even these kind of things, circles, border circles, whatever you want. So let's copy this, and now I want to continue on here and just say number 55. What we can do here, we can maybe skip it by just saying, instead of doing the constant, we can say here another way, just very simple, get document dot get element by ID. And then we have this, and then we have those. There we are. So if we do this, and then we say here number 4, and then we have number 4. Save this, refresh. Purple number 2, which is correct, as you can see here. Remember, this the 5th element is the 4th because zeros, it starts at 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. There we are. This is basically another way to do it. Should you do this or should you do this? Depends. Are you going to repeat it multiple times? Then I would say use a constant where you can shorten here so you don't have to over repeat yourself consistently. And because we should keep codes dry. If you are using it only once, you can do this method here. So I'm doing just this. I'm doing both here. The reason why I'm doing both is just to show you all kind of ways here, because the more ways you know, the better you learn. At least that's what I think. Alright, so we got these now. And let's continue here. 33. Number 2. So you should not understand why I'm putting here number 2 and then here. 22 will be number 1, and finally we're going to the first element, which is value 11, 1, 1, and then the first element is 0. So you can see here I'm doing that. All right, there we are. So now we have everything. We have all these values here. So why don't we just test this? And let's say we're going to adjust the color here, or adjust the number. Let's see here, we have now number, let's give this 99. Save this and see what happens is yellow. Refresh, and bam, yellow increases here, and you can see yellow starts to increase here as well. And this is the way you can create a legend. This legend is almost connected to each other, and all we did is basically extract the codes from here. And you can make all kind of cool stuff with this, of course. You can start to play around with this. And then maybe here on click, I don't know, do something with it. Maybe on click here, if you click on this, maybe you can change color as well, update, etc, etc, etc. You can create all kind of options here. So I hope this was a bit of a useful and insightful video, and it was quite long and talked a lot about it, showing just basics. But these basics, what I'm showing you, are essential to understand how to connect and how to communicate, because basically what you did here is we are starting to get the color coding and all these things, how ChartJS works in Canvas or in a Canvas tag, and extract them out and put them now in a specific HTML. Because basically here what you have now is a legend. You created a legend out of existing HTML code and pure JavaScript only. We don't even use any special ChartJS coding, and that makes it easier. And understanding that gives you a key to modify a legend easier. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this kind of videos about ChartJS, or if you want to learn more about basic JavaScript, because we just use basic JavaScript here, subscribe to my channel. I have many videos covering many different topics about JavaScript and ChartJS. And if you like this and you really want to go deep in ChartJS, check out my Udemy course in the description box covering a lot of things about ChartJS itself. So, and if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below.